All right, it's good to have you back. 800 mobile police officers, 7 armored personnel carriers and 40 patrol vehicles have been deployed to Adamawa and Taraba states to start efforts aimed at ending clashes between local farmers and herders.
The Assistant Inspector General of Police for Zone 3 Command, Kayode Aderanti, disclosed this at the start of a counter-terrorism training for police officers. TVC News correspondent Wolabi Adenusi's report is presented from our studios.
The Nigerian police has engaged its officers on counter-terrorism training to put them in strong positions to end the prevalent clashes between herdsmen and farmers in Adamawa and Taraba states. Declaring the training open, the Assistant Inspector General of Police, Zone 3, AIG Kayode Aderanti, said the Police High Command will not rest on its laurels until normalcy returns to the troubled spots.
Capacity building, training and retraining should be part and parcel of our daily activities.
He described the security threat posed by herdsmen as terrorism, stressing that the Nigerian police is poised to tackle the threat, but requires high-tech equipment, including drones for intelligence gathering.
There is no way we can actually confront this menace of terrorism without being fully and properly equipped with state-of-the-art equipment, with solid intel. In short, adopting cutting-edge technologies. Yes, we have intelligence. Yes, we have this. Yes, we have that. How do we confront all these marauders that are always moving in hundreds, if not thousands, fully armed?
He spoke on the need for community policing and for other stakeholders to partner the police in the interest of the country.
The Nigerian Police Force is one and indivisible organization that has no room for religion, that has no room for politics, that has no room for tribalism. Where you come from doesn't really matters. When our fathers, our mothers, our brothers and sisters are able to actually unleash all their potentials, it means the police is working. We have to engage in training and retraining. We have to be patriotic. We have to ensure that we can lay down our lives for the sake of our community.
Taraba and Adamawa states have been in the news for bloodletting arising from others clashing with farmers.
We have joining us now a security consultant, Ahmed Kederi, in the studio. Good morning to you and thank you for joining us. Thank you. You heard what the AIG Aderanti said. Let's start off with that training which many had called for almost many times, really, that there is need for police officers in the country to be trained and retrained, especially with the unconventional warfare the country is facing at this time. But should it just be a select few of the police force?
Now, the question I'd love to ask is, we've had this herdsmen problem all over the country for an embarrassingly long period of time. So why now? Why do we now have suddenly there is the need and the urge to train policemen in counter-terrorism tactics? Should this not be a basic part of training for the police? Why are they suddenly trying to make us feel it's a novel idea? We're supposed to get up, give a standing ovation and say, oh, thank you very much for what you're doing.
Maybe you want to hazard a guess as to why this is happening now, why it has not happened much earlier.
My guess would not be very complimentary. So I think I'd rather just keep that to myself. It's, for me, this is too little, too late. As far as I'm concerned.
Don't you think it's better late than never, really?
Well, better late than never, but it's not going to solve the problem.
Okay, let's come to the nitty-gritty of this. 800 troops deployed to both Taraba and Adamawa, and like you said, herdsmen clashes have been happening in different parts of the country, including as many places as you want to name in the country, Enugu and the rest of them. 800 troops, 7 armored personnel carriers, APCs, and 40 patrol vehicles. Will this do the job of, sustaining or returning peace in that or those two states, how much more sustain the peace?
Well, I can feel those mischief makers quivering in their boots right now, which is a joke. It's not going to solve anything. This is not the solution to this problem, as far as I'm concerned.
So what should be the solution?
The solution should be more intelligence gathering, first of all. Like I always say, you need intelligence in order
But intelligence gathering, let me just butt in here. Intelligence gathering, of course, could be carried out in pursuit while you're trying to maintain the peace, because if you say you focus overly on intelligence alone, what happens to the killings in the states?
Well, I'm not saying that you should ignore the chaos and the mayhem that has, the bloodletting, so to speak, that has been the culture. However, you should have every structure in place. Okay. The intelligence, the peacekeeping, and the eventual solution to the problem. Now, these people that have been, this new unit that has been deployed to keep peace, are we going to have it across the country? Well, how come we're just having it? Because you have herdsmen pillaging farmlands in places like Edo State. And in other places,
and the rest,
in other places that have not been reported. So how much manpower does the police have?
Well, about 300,000 strong, and this particular unit
half of that figure
is already deployed elsewhere.
Deployed elsewhere.
VIPs.
It's a very large country. So how do they intend to keep the peace across the board? That's what I would love to know. And the truth is, I don't have much faith in this so-called solution, because the powers that be have been foot dragging for so long till it has gotten to the level where we are now.
And this seems to be, getting a new dimension where police officers, security operatives are now the target of herdsmen attacks. And in Taraba, for example, was it in December or so, you had those clashes between police officers and illegal miners that led to, a number of deaths. So there's already this, police citizenry face-off, if you like.
And it was suspected Fulani herdsmen exchanging in gun battle with the soldiers on Tuesday last year.
Exactly. So against this backdrop, do you think the authorities are really thinking deep enough to ensure that we're not just scratching the surface?
The authorities are not scratching, they are not even scratching the surface at all. It's, for me, they're just rather perusing it. Nothing, as far as I'm concerned, is being done. For outlaws to have the guts to fight security agencies, it only means that such security agencies are not equipped enough to actually combat the problem. Because if we had taken this problem seriously from the get-go, we will not be where we are now. Now, these elements have seen that there's a lackadaisical attitude towards this problem. Therefore, they are emboldened to stand and fight and face policemen, face soldiers, just because there hasn't been that political will to solve this problem.
I'm talking about political will. It just brings to mind what happened in Numan, Adamawa State a few months back when some Fulani residents were killed, and then there was a reprisal. Fulani herdsmen went there and killed residents of that community in Numan. And then there was an instruction of officers of the Air Force were sent there, Nigeria Air Force were sent there with their fighter jet. And the instruction given to them was to shoot to scare away and not to shoot to kill. And eventually the herdsmen, the Fulani herdsmen, were now shooting at the fighter jet to shoot it down. So would it be about, like you said, the political will or mistrust somewhere, or pampering one over another? Because it seems that, like you said, you talked about intelligence. That's why I had to make that. You talked about intelligence, and it seems to be one of the areas of policing in the country that seems to be underexplored. And why would you say that is?
The whole situation is not is not being properly handled. In the first place, why would you send a fighter jet to quell a riot? I haven't heard that before. Why would you send a gunship to quell a riot? It's like using an anvil to kill a fly. You understand?
Like a sledgehammer to kill an insect?
Exactly.
So you're saying that it's really not serious enough?
It's not as though it's not serious, but it's the wrong equipment to use at that point in time.
Oh.
There are other solutions.
Or wrong arm of security?
Yes, it's the wrong equipment, wrong arm of security. What you need there are anti-riot policemen, soldiers, working in partnership.
The Nigerians and even the government know that either overwhelmed or, like we know, some are saying now, not even trained to tackle such crisis.
I'm surprised that they're not trained to tackle such crisis. Because like I said at the beginning of the show, a policeman is supposed to, it's part of your basic training. You know, fighting, quelling riots, bringing peace to a scene. It's part of your basic, there's no big deal bringing an AIG and saying that.
It wasn't a riot really, and what is happening in Benue?
When I say riot, I mean an untoward situation.
I'm just trying to make a case for the police, Nigeria police really, because it's not riot what is happening in Benue, either in Taraba.
It's not riot, it's a threat to national security.
Suspected Fulani herdsmen are well armed with sophisticated weapons that
and how well armed
some police
policemen?
officers don't even wield them.
How well armed are policemen?
Exactly.
Are they, you have Fulani herdsmen who carry, like you said, very sophisticated firearms, and our policemen are only armed with Kalashnikovs. How well armed are they? It's one thing to carry your arm and ammunition. It's another thing to be properly trained to handle it. Anybody can fire a weapon. The three of us here can fire a weapon. Now, how well trained are we?
I don't even want to be in the same room where there's a firearm, just knowing there's a firearm around. But, you know, this is a very, very serious issue. You talked about intelligence earlier. And I recall the case of some 39 strange men that were arrested sometime, wasn't it in January or so of this year? They were said to have come in from Cameroon. That's where they claimed that they came in from. Now, when you have 39 men coming in as one man, you know, in a group into a country, it raises the question of the porosity or porousness of Nigeria's borders that are still largely unmanned. But we hear that, of course, the information from you know, local residents actually led to the arrest of those people. That on the one hand, does Nigeria have some kind of office like you have in other, you know, countries where foreigners, whether you're a tourist or a student or whatever, can go when you come in to actually register your presence in the country? Is that not a way of tackling this problem from the root?
Is there even a data to capture?
Well, yeah, so that you actually have accurate data of, you know, how many people are coming into your country and going out on a daily basis.
Let me just help you there.
Yes, please.
Now, we drive on the streets every day.
Yes.
All those Okadas you see surrounding your vehicles, I can tell you that 8 out of 10 of those Okadas are not Nigerians. They're coming from neighboring countries.
Even most Megads.
Niger, yes, Niger. Maybe your Megad and my Megad are not even Nigerians.
Yeah.
But they'll tell you, my name is Usman, I'm from Bauchi, but you don't hear them speaking Hausa. You hear them speaking another dialect. Are they registered? Does their embassy, the embassy of the Nigerian embassy in Nigeria, are they aware that most of the Okadas and the Megats and the all whatnot are from their country? Are they registered? Has the Nigerian Immigration Service taken this up with these countries?
Well, that could
to ensure that we're secure.
It might be the focus now since President
I doubt it. I doubt it, because you're going to say, oh, they are an ECOWAS country. So let's not abuse the concept of ECOWAS. Are they actually registered? They are not. People walk across the border.
Let's assume they wanted to register. Is there a place, the designated office or bureau in every state of Nigeria, in all 36 states, where an alien or a visitor, a tourist, can go and register themselves, whether it's in Lagos. You know, you come into Lagos and you say, oh, I'm a Nigerian. I'll be here for a day, 2 or 10 days.
And then that would only work if the foreigners came into the country with
good intention.
With good intent. How many, ideally, if that were in existence, ideally that should be in every immigration office across the country. Now, for foreigners that I know, maybe people who come in from the West, Britons, Germans, etc., they register their presence with their embassies. Oh, I am Alfred Smith. I've come in from Hamburg. I've come to register. I'm a German. You register with the German embassy. You register with the American embassy. You register with the Turkish embassy, etc.
As the case may be.
Now, I don't think that exists with us, because if I travel to Ghana, for instance, fine, I travel with my passport, I fly into Ghana. Because it's not really, we're not really educated to do that, I do not think about going to the Nigerian High Commission to register my presence.
But the onus lies on Nigeria, within Nigerian soil, to make sure that anybody who comes in is registered.
If we try,
so you know, the foreigners among us.
If we try to push it,
yes,
it might work. But I doubt if it will have any effect.
I was about to ask that, because yes, for those that fly into a country, yes, it will be easy. But for those that have
formal borders,
exactly, but for those that cross the borders,
are too porous.
About 1,400 border points were identified recently, just a few weeks ago. What is being done?
Less than 200 manned.
Look, exactly. What is being done? We're hearing nothing about that.
Too porous. If I want to go into Cameroon and come back today without being detected, I can do it very easily.
It brings to mind what is happening in a village, Danare, I think, in Cross River, where some militants from Cameroon were chased, suspected militants from Cameroon were chased into the Cross River community because of the persecution, of course, going on in Cameroon, in Anglophone regions there. So how easy, then the soldiers, Cameroonian soldiers, chased them into Nigerian community, and nothing is said about it, no action from the military or even the federal government.
Because we are not handling our borders appropriately. I can't imagine how the Mexican police will pursue suspects onto U.S. soil. It's not possible.
Well, in the last 24 hours, Mr. President had a meeting with security chiefs, and it was an expanded meeting too, where you had immigration and all the rest of them. In that meeting, but not much has been heard about what exactly that meeting was all about, other than other than a tweet from the presidency saying, ways to ensure sustainable security and peace in the country. But it's almost
For
vague.
me, that's just another day attending a meeting on nation building, and we don't see anything happening. It's still going to be the same. The borders are still going to continue being porous. So I don't see, several of such meetings have been held in the past.
Well, not sounding pessimistic really, but yesterday's meeting seems to be quite the first in a long time. You know, it was an enlarged meeting of security operatives in the country, not just the service chiefs. So maybe as a citizen, you could say that some actions could be effective pretty soon.
From that meeting?
Well, I'd love to see the fruit of that labor.
Okay.
So if you were in a position to recommend to this government how to really tackle this security challenges that Nigeria seems to be facing on all fronts, whether it's kidnapping, banditry, militancy, and what have you, what exactly are the measures that can be put in place to, for Nigerians to begin to really appreciate that, yes, government really indeed is doing something, whether it's in the short term or medium to long-term basis?
Number one, let's have objectivity in place.
Objectivity in what sense?
In terms of equipping the armed forces.
Okay.
In terms of giving them adequate training. In terms of ensuring that they get their job done. The truth is, you see, the men of the police, the men in the army, the navy, the air force, they are ready to work if you give them the right incentives. If you create the right enabling environment to work, your average policeman is ready to work. But when the policeman wakes up in a barracks that it's a ghetto, it's squalor. You go to a police station, they don't even have stationery. How do you expect him to work? His salary is not encouraging. You look at the rickety vehicle he puts on the streets for patrol, it's a disgrace to the country.
And then he had to even save up to buy kits for his uniform.
He doesn't have kids. He has a wife and children to take care of on a salary that doesn't go anywhere. So how do you expect him to work? And that applies to the army. It applies to the Navy, the SSS, and what have you. So if we have the enabling environment, give them the equipment to work. Give them an encouraging salary. Fine, you do not join the army to be a millionaire, but at least you live as an average citizen.
Life.
You live a decent life. Give them that decent life. Give them the encouragement. Give them the right environment to work.
In fact, they deserve it.
Exactly, they deserve it. And you will see them work their backs off.
What about the use of technology? Not too long ago, there was this rumor, though the security operatives have debunked that there was a helicopter above Taraba, close to the Benue border, that dropped arms, sophisticated arms and all of that.
Anything
How
is
do we
possible.
detect such, things? I mean, because if in reality that really happened, beyond the, security operatives saying no such thing happened, if it really did happen, then we really are in trouble.
Our airspace, the truth is, our airspace is not secure. It's quite possible for people to fly under the radar into Nigerian airspace, do what they want and leave. It's only when it becomes too obvious that you begin to see us scampering, taking the fire brigade approach. But what have we actually done in this country to secure our airspace?
Is Nigeria facing some kind of external aggression and without knowing
Nigeria is not facing any external aggression. Nigeria is facing the lack of political will to do the needful.
But the DSS came out to say that, in fact, the perpetrators of the Benue killings were members of Islamic State, West Africa, ISWA, that they are not even citizens of the country.
Well, I do not have access to those facts. But as far as I'm concerned,
But many were quick to ask, are the members the ones perpetrating such acts across the country as well? And why? Because the DSS said they were perpetrating it in Benue and then Enugu, another state, that they were the ones that went there. But what about other states? And why those states in particular? What interests?
well,
more questions than answers?
more questions than answers, exactly. But you see, for the SSS to come out to say that, fine, those bodies might be linked to IS, the possibility does exist, because there are possibilities that it's not a possibility. Boko Haram is linked with IS.
Yeah.
It's linked with Al Qaeda. They are, how will I put it, affiliates of these more global bodies. So it's only natural that IS, Al Qaeda, would also want to key in.
Let me bring you back to the political will to do the right thing at the right time, and then, decisively too. So many times we got this customs made startling discoveries of arms being smuggled into the country, and there were questions before the last one was identified, when the exporter was identified.
2,600
Yes.
pump action. What do you call
Rifles.
them? Rifles.
Yes. And even
compared to the number that actually comes in, if the if the world body says about 70% of the small arms and light weapons in West Africa actually is in Nigeria, then that means we have a whole lot more going on there.
Because that container was discovered.
Interceptions.
What about those that were not discovered? And then now that we are seeing this, would you say that there is a higher agenda somehow that the government has to open its eye to before it's too late?
This issue of illegal arms and ammunition is quite complicated. What I can say is that those in positions of authority understand what they ought to do. We have a lot of illegal arms and ammunition, let me just use one section of the country, floating around in the Niger Delta alone. What have we actually done about them? Now,
are we even securing the waterways?
Sorry?
Are we even securing the waterways?
So it's we know what we ought to do, but the truth is nobody's really doing anything.
Doesn't that make it even more tragic? Well, in the papers this morning, Oshibajo says, let's handle herdsmen, farmers' violence with open mind. Well, I'm yet to get into the details of exactly what he means, but what's your reading? What's your reading of that? Because look, over time, sometimes, you know, as journalists, you know, we've been told, can we kindly take out the Fulani aspect of it and just say herdsmen, so that we don't look at it from ethnic eyes or political, you know, political eyes and all of that.
That's very difficult to do.
Why is that difficult to do? Isn't that why we're not able to solve the problem? Because we're looking at it not as a Nigerian problem, as a security problem that affects every part of the country, but, you know, seeing it as Fulani against the other.
I say it's very difficult to do because we all know that the only tribe in this country that handles cattle are the Fulanis.
Really?
Yes. So it's
Are you saying there are no Igbos, there are no Yorubas who are into
I am yet
cattle?
to meet an Igbo. I'm yet an Igbo. If there is an Igbo man who's into cattle rearing, he owns a ranch and he runs it as a professional business. Not in the nomadic, cultural, traditional way that we all grew up to understand. You see a white cow, a lot of white cows, the first thing that comes to your mind, you're looking for the Fulani.
And in fact, the secretary of the Nyetiala Association in Benue State came out, Galolo, came out to give reasons for the killing of Benue residents. That was because they stole 1,000 cows. And that was why many were saying that these people have to be arrested and questioned. Well, till now, nothing has been done.
Nothing has been done. So
anyway,
what faith do we have in government?
Okay, I guess we really have to leave it there, unfortunately. No time. Ahmed Kadri is a security consultant. Thank you for joining us this morning and leaving us with more questions
than answers. Very sad.